What's good, YouTube? Once again, it's Kennard Vernon Stewart here for the podcast, talking Auburn football. Go ahead and like this video, comment, and subscribe to Vernon Speak Sports Auburn. And as always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger, War Eagle. Bo Nix, one of the most heralded quarterbacks out of Alabama, at least in recent history, garnished every award you could possibly give a guy coming out of high school. And he's a pretty good student, too. Smart guy. Articulates very well in his interviews. I always like listening to him. I think Bo Nix is probably positioned to be one of the better quarterbacks in Auburn history. Has gotten off to a rocky start, though. You talk about 41% completion percentage in the big ones. You talk about against Florida and LSU, to note. And most recently, Bo Nix had a very impressive numerical game against Ole Miss. But you got to think, if you're an Auburn fan, you're thinking like, well, we knew you'd do it against Ole Miss. We knew you'd do it against Texas A&M. We knew you'd do it against some of the middle tier teams in the SEC. But we're still not satisfied yet. We're not even talking about the whole Joey Gatewood thing, because at this point, anybody who's talking about Joey Gatewood and what his capability would have been, I mean, that's all for naught. Bo Nix is the guy. Okay. True freshman quarterback has led Auburn to a 6-2 record with a very, very outside opportunity to make the college football playoff. Very outside. It's a lot of craziness that would have to happen in order for Auburn to be considered a playoff team. But when you think about this thing from a resume standpoint, if with 6 top 25 games in the season, Auburn is able to take care of Georgia and Alabama, which I think a better opportunity to take care of Georgia and Alabama. Alabama, honestly, I just never count that as a possibility all the way. I think they can do it, but, you know, Alabama just has so many years of top-rated recruits that, you know, I was actually looking at the game against South Carolina and Alabama today. And those guys, yeah, they have some holes in their program, but these guys are actually pretty good. So we'll see. I like the odds against Georgia right now, just overall a little bit better than I do Alabama. And that's just what it is. But the fan base for Auburn supporters, you know what I'm saying? They are looking at this Ole Miss game as like, hell, that's what you were supposed to do. They don't look at the fact that this guy's a true freshman, that this guy's still feeling his way around the college football ranks. They look at it, and that has been the trend. You tank it against, say, Oregon and Florida and LSU, but then you're lights out against an Ole Miss or a Texas A&M or Mississippi State or Arkansas. Not fair to the kid at all, honestly. And I, for one, have been a very, very strong Bo criticizer, because I like Bo. Now, most of the people, like I'm in business management, right? So most of the people that I'm the hardest on, I like them. So if I'm hard on Bo, just know that I like Bo. And I know that Bo will eventually be a very, very good football player, and he is a good football player now, but he has some adversities that he has to get over, accuracy issues. I did like the fact that he didn't mind sticking around in the pocket a little bit, found J.J. Wilson. I like that kind of stuff. So he is starting to get a feel for the game, because if this kid ever gets that aha moment, which we all get, I mean, it could be a wrap. Now, let's just rewind this thing back. I want you guys to look in the mirror. Guys and gals, look in the mirror real quick. Now, you may have been struggling at a job that you started. You had the potential to do great at it. Struggling a little bit. Look in the mirror, though. Don't look away. I want you to look at yourself. And all of a sudden, you have that aha moment where things make sense, to where you can compartmentalize everything. Like most businesses, if you can pretty much tackle 4 basic things, then you'll be ultimately successful. Like, let's just say if you are an insurance agent, you tackle how to be able to understand the difference between, when a person really wants to buy your insurance or if they just, being nice. Because being nice doesn't always mean consent, right? Learning the tendencies of your prospects. If you've written enough insurance policies, you start to kind of know especially what kind of vibration you're attracting from the insurance standpoint. I'm just going to twist this into the Bo Nix thing, in that over time, I think Bo Nix is a pretty smart guy. I think over time, he's going to start to see a general tendency of his opponent, no matter how good they are. That's how, once you start to master your craft, your opponent becomes like neutral. They all start to become the same. Like, they might have a little bit more talent than the next. That's where all the good like Tom Brady, for example. And I'll even say Tua Tagovailoa. And sometimes Jake Fromm. Jake Fromm is a little shaky, though. But when you master a craft, the opponent starts to become the same. The only difference is one opponent might be a little bit more talented, but at the end of the day, they're the same. They're the same. You can tackle it the same. I see that with my business and the enterprise that I'm involved in. It's all the same. Give a damn Christmas, Thanksgiving, it's all the same, no matter. As long as you control the controllables. And I think that's where Bo Nix is at right now as a quarterback, he doesn't know what the controllables are, but he's starting to figure it out. I saw it in the Ole Miss game. He's starting to figure it out. He's starting to figure it out that it's not that serious. It's not as serious as people think. So, but back to the Auburn fan base. It's just the brutal truth. The Auburn fan base are not going to be convinced about Bo Nix until he has a breakout game against Georgia. He's got to have it. And it's laid out. Georgia's a very good football team. I have no disrespect for Georgia football. But Bo Nix has absolutely got to find a way to silence his critics. Because as of now, the only ranked team severely, like for real ranked team that Bo Nix has won against is Oregon. And that was a comeback from behind, heroic, miracle type situation. Bo Nix needs a game where his program is balanced to where there's no doubt that he is ultimately the right choice for quarterback of the Auburn Tigers. That's just where we at right now. Yeah, I love the fact that Bo Nix threw for over 300 yards against Ole Miss. But at the same time, even as much as I like Auburn football and I've, analyzed the sport probably deeper than a lot of people care to do. But until Bo Nix has that game against Georgia or Alabama, it's just going to be like, hey, that's what you're supposed to do. You're a 5-star recruit out of Pinson, Alabama. You've garnished every award possible. You're supposed to do that against Ole Miss. He's got to get over that's what you're supposed to do and do it against high-level competition. Auburn's got Georgia in a couple of weeks. Georgia will more than likely still be in the top 10. I would be perplexed if Missouri beats Georgia. Missouri plays Georgia pretty tight, but I just don't see Missouri beating Georgia, especially not at this point. Kirby Smart's done rallied the troops and got these guys back on board, so to speak, to where they're not going to let, again, especially a night game in Sanford Stadium, they're not going to let Missouri come in and ruin their chances at a good season, especially with Kirby Smart with the whole used car salesman thing, man. He's got to get it done because the 5-star recruits, that stuff going to start to run out if you don't start to produce. He's looking very Mark Richtish at this point. Big shout out to the Georgia Bulldogs and a lot of my frat brothers who went there. Brian Allen, for example. Love you, Newt. But anyway, Bo Nix is really, really got to get it done against Georgia. To get this monkey off his back, that he can't get it done against high-level competition. Once again, it's your boy, your man, Kennard Vernon Stewart here for the podcast. I am your Auburn enthusiast, Auburn conversationist, and your virtual shoulder to lean on when things start to get bad. Go ahead and like this video, comment, and subscribe to the channel. All right, so Auburn basketball will be back on the court tonight. You know, I actually like basketball too, so don't think that this is a one-dimensional channel. I actually like basketball a little better than football. I was better at basketball than football, so I know about all that stuff, the 1-3-1 packages, the teams that like to play upbeat, all that stuff. Go back to my videos when I talked about Auburn basketball during the March Madness phase of basketball season. Go ahead and like this video, comment, and subscribe to my channel, Vernon Speaks Sports. Auburn is actually your channel as well. Really enjoy the camaraderie that has been created because of what we're doing over here. Subscribe to the channel, and as always, it is great to be an Auburn Tiger, no matter what. War Eagle.